The small silver pod fell from the sky like a dying star. It crashed into the rocky ground with a terrible noise that shook the earth for miles around. Black smoke rose from the wreckage as metal twisted and bent under the force of the impact. Inside the broken pod, Zaraka opened her amber eyes slowly. Pain shot through her body like lightning. Her blue scales, which usually shone like precious gems, were now dull and covered in silver blood. She tried to move her legs but cried out in agony. Something heavy was pressing down on her right leg, and she could feel the warm wetness of her own. Blood pooling beneath her. Fear filled her heart as she remembered where she was. This was Haven's Edge, a human colony world. The stories her people told about humans came rushing back to her mind. They were monsters who ate anything that moved. They had sharp teeth and hungry eyes. They killed for fun and cooked their victims. While they were still alive, she had been on a simple scouting mission for her people, the Velthians. Her job was to watch the humans from far away and report back to her leaders. But something had gone wrong with her ship's engine. Now she was trapped on a world full of predators who would surely eat her. The sound of voices made her freeze with terror. They were getting closer. She could hear their heavy footsteps crunching on the broken rocks around her ship. The voices were deep and rough, speaking in the harsh human language that sounded like growling to her ears. "Over here," called one of the voices. "The crash site is just ahead." Zaraka tried to make herself smaller, pressing her thin body against the curved wall of her pod. Maybe if she stayed very still, they would not see her. Maybe they would think the ship was empty and go away, but deep down, she knew it was no use. Humans were skilled hunters. They would find her, and then they would drag her away to their cooking fires. She had heard the stories from other Velthians who had escaped from human worlds. The humans liked to keep their food alive and fresh until the very last moment. "Jake, look at this," another voice said. This one was higher, maybe. "A female human. The metal is still hot. Whatever was flying this thing, it might still be inside." The human called Jake spoke again. His voice was calmer than the others. "Everyone stay back. We don't know what kind of creature we're dealing with here." "It could be dangerous," Zaraka almost laughed through her pain. "Dangerous?" She was barely 4 feet tall and weighed less than a human child. Her people had no weapons except their knowledge of plants and growing things. The only dangerous thing about her was that she might die and spoil their meal. Heavy boots appeared at the opening of her broken pod. Zaraka looked up and saw the face of her death. The human was tall and broad with dark hair and skin marked by years under the sun. His eyes were a strange blue-green color that reminded her of the oceans on her home world. But these were the eyes of a predator, she told herself. They were looking at her the way a hunter looks at wounded prey. "Hello there," Jake said softly. His voice was gentle, which confused her. Why was he being kind? Maybe this was how humans played with their food before they ate it. "We're here to help you. Can you understand me?" Zaraka's universal translator worked slowly, turning his words into her own language. She understood what he said, but she did not believe it. Help? Humans did not help other creatures. They only helped themselves to dinner. She tried to speak, but only a small whimper came out. The fear was too strong. Her whole body shook like a leaf in a storm. "She's hurt," said the female voice. A new face appeared next to Jake's. This human had long dark hair tied back and kind brown eyes. She was holding some kind of medical device that beeped softly. "Her leg is trapped under that piece of metal. We need to get her out of there." "Lisa, can you tell what kind of injuries she has?" Jake asked. The female human, Lisa, held up her device and pointed it at Zaraka. "The scanner shows a broken bone in her right leg. She's lost some blood, but not too much. Her vital signs are weak, probably from shock and pain." Zaraka listened to their words with growing confusion. They were talking about healing her, not cooking her. But this had to be some kind of trick. Maybe they wanted to fix her leg so she could walk to their cooking pot by herself. "What do you think she is?" asked a third voice. Another human appeared, this one with lighter skin and red hair. His name tag said Pete. "I've never seen anything like her." "Those scales are beautiful." "Beautiful?" Jake said, and Zaraka heard. Something like wonder in his voice. She's definitely beautiful and terrified. Look at how she's shaking. The humans were staring at her, but their expressions were not what she expected. Where she had looked for hunger and cruelty, she saw only concern and curiosity. Jake's eyes were soft, not hard like a predator should be. Lisa's face showed worry, not excitement about finding fresh meat. We need to move that metal piece, Pete said, but we have to be careful. If we do it wrong, we could hurt her more. I'll hold her steady, Lisa said, kneeling down at the edge of the pod. Little one, this might hurt, but we're going to get you out of there. Zaraka wanted to scream at them to stay away, but she had no strength left. She watched as the humans worked together with careful, gentle movements. Pete used some kind of tool to lift the heavy metal piece, while Jake guided it away from her. Leg. Lisa kept her scanner pointed at Zaraka the whole time, watching for any signs of danger. When the metal was finally moved, Zaraka felt a rush of relief. The terrible pressure on her leg was gone, but now she was completely at the mercy of these humans. They could do whatever they wanted with her. There we go, Jake said with a smile. That's got to feel better. Lisa was already moving closer with her medical supplies. I'm going to clean your wound and stop the bleeding. This might sting a little. Zaraka flinched as the human woman touched her leg, but instead of pain, she felt a cool, soothing sensation. The medicine Lisa was using took away the burning hurt and made her feel much better. Her blood is silver, Pete said with amazement. I've never seen anything like it. Silver blood usually means a copper-based system instead of iron, Lisa explained as she worked. Her whole body chemistry is probably different from ours. We'll need to be careful about what medicines we give her. They were being so gentle and careful that Zaraka began to wonder if everything she had been told about humans was wrong. But that was impossible. Everyone knew that humans were monsters. Her own government had told her people this. The stories were told to children to keep them safe. Can you tell us your name? Jake asked, sitting down next to her so he would not seem so tall and frightening. Zaraka's translator finally allowed her to speak. Zaraka, she whispered. Zaraka, Jake repeated slowly, trying to say it correctly. That's a beautiful name. I'm Jake Morrison. This is Lisa Chun and Pete Rodriguez. We're going to take care of you, okay? Take care of her? Zaraka stared at him in disbelief. Was this human really promising to help her instead of eat her? His eyes looked honest and kind, not like the cruel monsters from the stories. Maybe, just maybe, everything she had been told about humans was a lie. The humans worked together like they had done this many times before. Jake stayed close to Zaraka, speaking to her in soft tones while Lisa prepared more medical supplies. Pete went back to their vehicle to get special equipment for moving injured. People, we're going to lift you out now, Jake explained to Zaraka. It might hurt a little, but we'll be as gentle as we can. Zaraka nodded weakly. She was still confused by their kindness, but she had no choice except to trust them. Her leg was broken and she could not move on her own. If these humans wanted to hurt her, they could do it easily whether she fought back or not. Pete returned with a floating stretcher that hummed quietly. This will keep her stable while we move her, he said. The anti-gravity field will make sure she doesn't feel any bumps. Lisa ran her scanner over Zaraka one more time. Her vital signs are getting stronger, that's good. But we need to get her to the medical center quickly. I'm not sure how long our basic first aid will work on her alien biology. The word alien made Zaraka remember that she was far from home, surrounded by creatures that her people considered enemies. But as Jake carefully slipped his arms under her body to lift her, she felt no fear. His touch was gentle and careful, like he was handling something precious instead of something he planned to eat. There we go, Jake said as he placed her on the floating stretcher. How does that feel? Better, Zaraka whispered. The stretcher was warm and comfortable, and it took away the pain from her broken leg. She looked up at the three humans standing around her and felt a strange emotion she had never expected to feel toward their kind. She felt safe, They began the journey back to the human colony. Pete drove their vehicle while Lisa sat next to Zaraka, watching her medical readings on a small screen. Jake sat across from them, asking Zaraka simple questions to keep her awake and alert. "Where are you from?" Jake asked. "Velthia Prime," Zaraka answered. "It is 3 star systems away from here." "That's a long way to travel," Jake said. "What brought you so far from home?" Zaraka hesitated. She had been spying on the humans, but she did not want to tell them that. They were being kind to her, and she did not want them to think she was their enemy. "I was exploring," she said finally. "My ship had problems with the engine." Jake nodded like he understood. "Space travel can be dangerous. We've lost a few ships to engine failures ourselves. You're lucky you survived the crash." Lucky? Zaruk had never thought of herself as lucky before. But maybe Jake was right. If she had to crash on a world full of humans, she was lucky to find humans like these ones. As they drove through the colony, Zaraka saw her first human settlement. It was nothing like what she had expected. The buildings were small and friendly looking, with gardens full of colorful flowers. Human children were playing in the streets, laughing and running after each other. It looked peaceful and happy, not like the dark, scary places from the stories. "Is this your whole colony?" she asked. "This is just the main town," Pete said from the driver's seat. "We have about 5,000 people living here, plus smaller settlements spread out across the continent. It's not much, but it's home." 5,000 humans. Zaraka shivered at the thought. That was more predators than she had ever imagined being near. But as she watched them through the vehicle's windows, she saw something that confused her even more. The humans were not acting like predators at all. She saw a human woman helping an elderly man carry his groceries. 2 human children were sharing their food with a small animal that looked hungry. A group of humans were working together to fix a broken water pipe, and they were laughing and joking while they worked. "Your people seem happy," Zaraka said. "Most of the time," Lisa answered with a smile. "Life can be hard on a colony world, but we take care of each other. That's what communities are for." They arrived at the medical center, which was a clean white building with large windows that let in plenty of sunlight. Jake and Pete carefully moved Zaraka inside while Lisa spoke to the other medical staff. Soon, Zaraka found herself in a private room with a soft bed and machines that beeped quietly. A new human entered the room. She was older than Lisa, with gray hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Hello, I'm Dr. Helen Torres," she said. "I'm going to take care of you while you recover." Dr. Torres began a careful examination of Zaraka's injuries. She moved slowly and explained everything she was doing. "I'm going to take some pictures of your leg with this machine," she said, holding up a device that looked like Lisa's scanner. "It won't hurt, but it will help me see how badly the bone is broken." As Dr. Torres worked, Jake stayed in the room with them. He did not get in the way, but his presence made Zaraka feel more comfortable. She was beginning to think of him as a friend, which was a strange feeling to have about a human. "The good news is that the break is clean," Dr. Torres said after looking at the pictures. "The bad news is that I don't know how your species heals. I'm going to have to guess at the best treatment. Will you hurt me?" Zaraka asked quietly. Dr. Torres looked surprised by the question. "Of course not. My job is to help you feel better, not to hurt you. Why would you think I would hurt you?" Zaraka looked at Jake, then back at Dr. Torres. "My people told me that humans are dangerous. They said you eat other creatures, even smart ones like me." The room became very quiet. Jake's face showed surprise and sadness. Dr. Torres looked shocked. They stared at each other for a moment before Jake spoke. "Zaraka," he said gently, "I think your people have been told some very wrong things about us. Yes, we eat meat, but we would never eat a person. We would never eat anyone who can think and talk like you do. The idea of that makes us sick." "But the stories," Zaraka said weakly. "Everyone knows that humans are monsters." "Everyone can be wrong," Dr. Torres said. "Even whole groups of people can believe things that are not true. I promise you, on my honor as a doctor, that no one in this colony will ever hurt you. You are safe here, Jake nodded. Dr. Torres is right. We want to help you get better, so you can go home to your family. That's all we want. Zaraka felt tears forming in her large amber eyes. These humans were nothing like the stories. They were kind and gentle and caring. They had saved her life and were now working to heal her. Injuries. How could her people have been so wrong about them? I'm sorry, she whispered. You don't need to be sorry, Jake said. You believed what you were told. That's normal. But now you can see the truth for yourself. Dr. Torres began preparing a cast for Zaraka's leg. This might feel strange, she explained. The material will be warm at first, then it will get hard to protect your bone while it heals. As the doctor worked, Jake told Zaraka stories about the colony and the people who live there. He talked about the families and the children, the farmers and the teachers, the artists and the builders. He made them sound like real people with hopes and dreams and feelings, not like the monsters from the stories. Why do you think your people believe these things about us? Jake asked that Zara Dashka thought about it. I don't know. The stories have been told for many years. Maybe someone wanted us to be afraid of you. Maybe, Jake said. But now you know the truth. The question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Zaraka looked at Jake's kind face and Dr. Torres' gentle hands as she finished the cast. She looked around the clean, bright room where they were taking care of her. She thought about everything she had seen and heard since the crash. I don't know, she said honestly, but I know I was wrong about you. All of us were wrong. The next few days passed like a dream for Zaraka. She had never expected to be alive this long on a human world, let alone comfortable and safe. The medical center became her temporary home, and every day brought new surprises about human behavior. Amy Watson was the nurse who took care of her during the day shift. She was a young woman with blonde hair and a bright smile who always seemed happy to see Zaraka. Every morning, Amy would bring her breakfast and sit with her while she ate. How are you feeling today? Amy asked, setting down a tray of food. That smelled wonderful. Much better, Zaraka said, looking at the colorful fruits and vegetables on her plate. What is this green thing? That's an apple, Amy explained. It's sweet and crunchy. We grow them in our orchards here. The red cubes are from a vegetable called a beet. We thought you might like them since you said your people only eat plants. Zaraka picked up the apple and took a small bite. The taste was amazing, sweet and fresh with a satisfying crunch. This is very good, she said with surprise. My people would love this. I'm glad you like it, Amy said. Dr. Torres wants to make sure you're getting all the nutrition you need. She's been studying your blood samples to understand what your body requires. The idea that humans were studying her blood made Zaraka nervous at first. But then Amy explained that Dr. Torres was trying to help her heal faster and stay healthy. It was just another example of how different these humans were from the stories. After Amy left, Zaraka spent time looking out her window at the colony. She could see humans going about their daily lives, working in gardens, playing with children, and helping each other with various tasks. The more she watched, the more she realized how wrong the stories had been. A soft knock on her door made her turn around. A small human child peered into the room, followed by a woman with the same dark hair and brown eyes. Hello, the woman said. I'm Maria Kim, and this is my son Danny. We heard there was a visitor from space staying here. Danny has been very excited to meet you. Danny was about 10 years old, with curious eyes and a shy smile. He was holding a piece of paper in his hands. I drew you a picture, he said quietly, stepping closer to Zaraka's bed. Zaraka took the paper and looked at it. Danny had drawn her with bright blue scales and large amber eyes, standing next to what looked like a spaceship. But what surprised her most was that in the picture she was smiling and looked happy. This is beautiful, Zaraka said, and she meant it. You're very talented. Danny's face lit up with joy. Really? Mom said you might like it. Are you really from another planet? Yes, Zaraka said. I come from a world called Velthia Prime. It's very far from here. What's it like? Danny asked, climbing onto a chair next to her bed. Are there other kids like me there? There are young ones like you, Zaraka said, but they look more like me. They have scales and big eyes, and they love to play in the gardens where we grow our food. That sounds cool, Danny said. Do you want to see more pictures? I brought a whole book. For the next hour, Danny showed Zaraka his drawings while Maria sat nearby, watching with a warm smile. The little boy had drawn pictures of spaceships and aliens and distant worlds, all created from his imagination. His excitement about meeting her was genuine and innocent, nothing like the fear and hatred the stories had described. Why aren't you scared of me? Zaraka asked Danny. Danny looked confused by the question. Why would I be scared? You're really nice and you have pretty scales. Mom says people are people no matter what they look like on the outside. Your mother is very wise, Zaraka said. Looking at Maria with respect, after Danny and Maria left, Jake arrived for his daily visit. He had been coming every day since the crash, sometimes bringing small gifts like books or flowers from the colony's gardens. How are you feeling? He asked, sitting in the chair Danny had used. Confused, Zaraka said honestly. Everything I was taught about humans is wrong. You are kind and gentle and caring. You help strangers and take care of children. You even make art and music and beautiful things. Jake nodded thoughtfully. Can I ask you something? Who told your people these stories about us? How did they learn about humans in the first place? Zaraka thought about it. The stories came from the Krex Empire. They are our neighbors, and they have been our friends for many years. They told us about the dangerous species in the galaxy, and humans were always at the top of the list. The Krex Empire? Jake repeated, and his expression grew serious. We've heard of them. They're not known for being truthful. What do you mean? Zaraka asked. The Krex are a military empire that wants to control this part of the galaxy, Jake explained. They've been attacking peaceful worlds and forcing them to join their empire. If they told your people that humans were monsters, it was probably to keep you from becoming our allies. This idea shocked Zaraka, but why would they lie to us? Because if your people and humans worked together, we would be much stronger, Jake said. The Krex wouldn't be able to control either of us. But if we're afraid of each other, we're easier to control separately. Zaraka felt a cold feeling in her stomach. You think the Krex lied to us to keep us weak? I think it's possible, Jake said gently. But the important thing is that you're here now, and you can see the truth for yourself. That evening, Dr. Torres came to check on Zaraka's progress. The cast on her leg was working well, and the bone was healing faster than expected. You're recovering very quickly, Dr. Torres said. In a few more days, you should be able to walk. Again, what happens then? Zaraka asked. Will you send me away? Dr. Torres looked surprised. Only if you want to go. You're welcome to stay here as long as you like. In fact, I was hoping you might be willing to help me with something. Help? You? How? I'm a botanist, Dr. Torres explained. I study plants and how to grow them. Our colony has been having trouble with some of our crops, and I think your people might know things that could help us. Zaraka's eyes lit up. My people are very good with plants. We know how to make them grow strong and healthy even in difficult conditions. Would you be willing to share some of that knowledge with us? Dr. Torres asked. Yes, Zaraka said without hesitation. I would be honored to help. Over the next few days, Zaraka worked with Dr. Torres in the colony's greenhouse. Even with her legs still in a cast, she was able to show the humans new ways to care for their plants. She taught them about soil preparation, watering techniques, and how to tell when a plant was sick or healthy. Your people have an amazing understanding of plant biology, Dr. Torres said as they worked together. This knowledge could help feed thousands of people. And your people have amazing tools and technology, Zaraka replied. If we combined our knowledge with your machines, we could grow food in places where nothing has ever grown before. Jake often came to watch them work. He was fascinated by the way Zaraka could look at a plant and immediately know what it needed to be healthy. Where I come from, Zaraka told him one day, we believe that all living things are connected. Plants, animals, and people are all part of the same web of life. When we take care of plants, we're really taking care of ourselves. That's beautiful, Jake said. I wish more people understood that. Maybe they will, Zaraka said. Maybe that's why I crashed here. Maybe I was meant to learn about humans and teach them about my people. Jake smiled. Maybe you were. As the days passed, Zaraka met more and more humans. There was Carlos Martinez, a security officer who told her funny stories about his adventures. Ruby Johnson, a technician who showed her how human machines worked. Old Ben Cooper, a farmer who traded plant-growing tips with her. Each person she met was different, but they all shared the same basic kindness that had shocked her when she first crashed. They were curious about her world and her people, but they were also respectful and careful not to ask questions that might make her uncomfortable. I don't understand, Zaraka said to Jake one evening as they sat in the greenhouse watching the sunset. If humans are this good, why do so many people in the galaxy fear you? Because people believe what they're told, Jake said. And sometimes, the people doing the telling have their own reasons for spreading fear. The Kreks, Zaraka said quietly. Maybe, Jake said. But the important thing is that you know the truth now. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Zaraka looked at the plants around them, healthy and strong thanks to the cooperation between human technology and Velthian knowledge. She thought about Danny's drawings and Amy's kind smile and Dr. Torres' eager questions about her people's plant wisdom. I want to go home, she said finally, but not to hide from humans. I want to tell my people the truth about you. Jake smiled. That sounds like a good plan. But it might be dangerous. Not everyone will want to hear the truth. I know, Zaraka said, but someone has to try. Someone has to speak up for what's right. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Zaraka made her decision. She would return to her people, but she would go as a bridge between two worlds, not as a spy or an enemy. She would tell them the truth about humans, no matter what the cost. 2 weeks after the crash, Zaraka could walk again. Her leg was still weak, but Dr. Torres had removed the cast and said she was healing wonderfully. The first thing Zaraka wanted to do was explore the colony properly, to see with her own eyes. The place where she had learned so much about humans. Jake offered to give her a tour, and she accepted eagerly. They started at the main square, where humans gathered to buy food and supplies from each other. Zaraka watched in amazement as people smiled and laughed together, sharing news and helping each other carry heavy bags. Is it always this peaceful? She asked Jake. Most of the time, he said. We have our disagreements like any community, but we've learned that working together makes life better for everyone. They visited the school where human children learned reading and math and science. The teacher, Mrs. Linda Foster, invited Zaraka to speak to the children about her homeworld. The young humans asked dozens of questions about Velthian culture, their eyes bright with curiosity and wonder. Do you have schools on your planet? Asked a girl with red curly hair. Yes, Zaraka said, but they are different from yours. We learn mostly in gardens, working with plants and understanding how life grows. That sounds fun, said a boy with dark skin and a big smile. Do you think you could teach us some of that? I would love to, Zaraka said, and she meant it. Next. Jake showed her the colony's power plant, where engineers like Pete Rodriguez worked to keep the lights on and the machines running. Then they visited the farms outside town, where families grew food for the whole community. Your people have built something wonderful here, Zaraka told Jake as they walked through fields of green vegetables. You've made a good life in a difficult place. It wasn't easy, Jake admitted. When we first arrived 5 years ago, nothing would grow in the soil. The weather was harsh and we had problems with equipment breaking down. But we didn't give up. Why not? Zaraka asked. Because this is our home now, Jake said simply. When you love something, you fight for it. That evening, they sat together on a hill overlooking the colony. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Zaraka felt peaceful in a way she had never experienced before. Jake, she said quietly, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Why have you been so kind to me? I'm an alien who crashed on your world. You could have just fixed my ship and sent me away." Jake was quiet for a moment, thinking about his answer. "Do you remember when we first found you?" He said finally. "You were hurt and scared and alone. In that moment, it didn't matter that you were from another world. You were someone who needed help, and helping people is what we do." "But I was spying on you," Zaraka said, feeling ashamed. "I was here to learn about your weaknesses so my people could protect themselves from you." "I know," Jake said, surprising her. "I figured that out pretty quickly, but you know what? I'm glad you were here. If you hadn't crashed, you never would have learned the truth about us. And we never would have learned about your people. Aren't you angry that I was spying?" "No," Jake said with a smile. "You were doing what you thought was right to protect your people. I respect that. And besides, look how it turned out. You've taught us so much about plant biology that our farms are producing twice as much food as before." It was true. In just 2 weeks, Zaraka's knowledge had transformed the colony's agriculture. Plants that had been struggling were now healthy and strong. New crops that had never grown on Haven's Edge were thriving in the improved soil. "Your people and my people could do amazing things together," Zaraka said. "We could help each other in so many ways." "I hope we get that chance," Jake said. 3 days later, their peaceful life was shattered. Carlos Martinez burst into the greenhouse where Zaraka was working with Dr. Torres. His face was pale and worried. "Jake," he called out, "we have a problem. Big ships just appeared on our sensors. They're not broadcasting any identification signals." Jake looked up from the plant samples he was examining. "How many ships?" "At least 6, Carlos said. "They're big ones, too." "Military class," Dr. Torres frowned. "Could they be from Earth? Maybe a supply ship?" "No," Carlos shook his head. "The design is completely different. I've never seen anything like them." Zaraka felt her blood turn cold. "Can you show me what they look like?" Carlos led them to the security center, where Ruby Johnson was working at a computer console covered in flashing lights. On the main screen, Zaraka could see images of the approaching ships. They were dark gray with sharp angles and weapon ports. Along their sides, "Those are Krex warships," Zaraka whispered in horror. "Krex?" Jake asked. "The empire you told me about?" "Yes," Zaraka said, her voice shaking. "But why are they here?" "How did they find this place?" Ruby looked up from her console. "They're sending a message. It's addressed to us, but it's also being broadcast on Velthian communication frequencies." "Put it on the speakers," Jake ordered. A harsh, growling voice filled the room, speaking in the Krex language. Zaraka translated as it spoke. "People of Haven's Edge Colony, you are harboring a Velthian spy. Return the prisoner to us immediately, or we will destroy your settlement. You have 1 hour to comply." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at Zaraka, who felt sick to her stomach. "They're here for me," she said quietly. "They want to take me back." "Why?" Jake asked. "You're not their citizen? You're Velthian?" "The Krex control my people," Zaraka explained sadly. "We thought they were our friends and protectors, but really they own us. If I don't go back, they'll probably attack my homeworld too." Jake's jaw tightened with anger. "No one owns you, Zaraka. You're a free person, and you can choose where you want to go. But if I stay, they'll hurt you and your people," Zaraka said. "I can't let that happen." Carlos was studying the tactical display. "Jake, we can't fight 6 Krex warships. Our defenses are designed for pirates and small raiders, not a full military fleet." "I know," Jake said grimly. "But we're not just going to hand over our friend to these bullies." Ruby spoke up from her station. "I'm getting another signal. This one's on a different frequency." "Put it through," Jake said. This time, the voice that came through the speakers was softer and more musical. It was speaking in Velthian, and Zaraka gasped when she heard it. "This is Captain Kethna of the Velthian ship Bright Garden. We have come to retrieve our lost scout. Please respond." "That's one of our ships," Zaraka said with excitement. "My people are here too." "How many Velthian ships?" Jake asked Ruby. "Just one," Ruby replied. "It's much smaller than the Krex ships." They're definitely outgunned. Zarakov felt torn between hope and fear. Her people had come for her, but they were walking into a trap. The Kreks had probably followed them here, knowing they would come to rescue her. We need to contact the Velthian ship, Jake said. Zaraka, can you talk to them? Yes, she said, sitting down at the communication console. With Ruby's help, she opened a channel to the Bright Garden. Captain Kethna, this is Scout Zaraka. I am safe and unharmed. Zaraka, came the relieved response. Thank the Gardens. You're alive. We came as soon as we received your emergency beacon. Are you being held prisoner? No, Captain. The humans have been caring for me. They saved my life when my ship crashed. There was a pause before Captain Kethna spoke again. Humans? But the briefing said they were dangerous predators. The briefings were wrong, Captain. These humans are kind and peaceful. They have been helping me heal, and I have been sharing our plant knowledge with them. That's impossible, Captain Kethna said. The Kreks Empire has given us detailed reports about human aggression. Jake took the microphone from Zaraka. Captain Kethna, this is Jake Morrison, Security Chief of Haven's Edge Colony. I don't know what the Kreks have told you about us, but I promise you that Zaraka has been treated as an honored guest here. You speak our language? Captain Kethna sounded surprised. Zaraka taught me, Jake said. She has been a wonderful teacher and friend, but right now we have a bigger problem. The Kreks fleet is demanding that we hand her over to them. The Kreks are here? Captain Kethna's voice became worried. But they told us this was a simple rescue mission. Captain, Zaraka said urgently, I think the Kreks have been lying to our people. They told us humans were monsters, but these humans are good. They've been lying to keep us apart. Before Captain Kethna could respond, the Kreks voice came over the speakers again. Time is running out, humans. Give us the Velthian spy or face the consequences. Jake looked around the room at his people, then at Zaraka. His face was set with determination. Ruby, open a channel to the Kreks ships, he said. Jake, what are you doing? Carlos asked nervously. Something I should have done. The moment they threatened us, Jake replied. He took the microphone and spoke in a clear, strong voice. Kreks Fleet, this is Jake Morrison speaking for Haven's Edge Colony. Zaraka is not a prisoner here. She is our friend and our guest. We will not turn her over to you or anyone else without her consent. Then you have chosen to die? The Kreks commander snarled. Maybe, Jake said calmly. But at least we'll die standing up for what's right. Zaraka stared at Jake in amazement. He was willing to risk his life and his people's lives to protect her. No one had ever shown her such loyalty and courage. Jake, she said softly, thank you. The next few minutes felt like hours to Zaraka. She watched the tactical display as the Kreks ships spread out around the planet, their weapons powering up with deadly energy. The single Velthian ship looked tiny and helpless compared to the massive warships surrounding it. Captain Kethna, Zaraka said into the communicator, you need to leave. Your ship cannot fight all of those Kreks vessels. I will not abandon you, young scout, Captain Kethna replied firmly. But I am confused. Why are the Kreks acting like our enemies? They are supposed to be our protectors. Jake leaned toward the microphone. Captain, I think your people have been lied to. The Kreks are not your friends. They want to control you by keeping you afraid of everyone else. Before Captain Kethna could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the colony. Ruby's fingers flew over her controls as she tried to track the incoming threat. Multiple missile launches from the Kreks fleet, she announced. They're targeting both the colony and the Velthian ship. Defensive systems online, Carlos shouted, running to his station. But we can't stop them all. Zaraka felt her heart breaking. These good people were going to die because of her. The humans who had saved her life and shown her kindness were about to be destroyed by the lies and cruelty of the Kreks Empire. Wait, Jake said suddenly. Ruby, can you patch me through to all ships at once, Kreks and Velthian? Yes, but what are you planning? Ruby asked as her hands moved over the controls. Something crazy, Jake said with a grim smile. Open the channel. Jake's Voice rang out across space, reaching every ship in the system. "This is Jake Morrison of Haven's Edge Colony. I'm speaking to all of you, Krex and Velthian alike. Before you start shooting, I want you to hear the truth." "Humans do not dictate terms to the Krex Empire," snarled the Krex commander. "Maybe not," Jake said, "but I can offer you something you want more than our destruction. I can offer you proof." "Proof? Of what?" Captain Kethna asked. "Proof that everything the Krex have told you about humans is a lie," Jake said. "Captain Kethna, your scout Zaraka has been living with us for 3 weeks. Ask her yourself. Have we hurt her? Have we tried to eat her? Have we shown her any cruelty at all?" There was silence on the channel before Captain Kethna spoke. "Zaraka, answer honestly. How have the humans treated you?" Zaraka took a deep breath. This was her moment to tell the truth, no matter what the cost. "Captain, they saved my life. When I crashed, I was hurt and afraid. They could have left me to die, but instead they took me to their medical center. They healed my broken leg and gave me food and shelter. They taught me about their culture, and I taught them about ours." "Lies," the Krex commander interrupted. "The human is obviously forcing her to say these things." "No one is forcing me," Zaraka said firmly. "Captain, these humans are nothing like the stories we were told. They are kind and peaceful. They care for their children and help their neighbors. They grow beautiful gardens and make art and music. They are not monsters." "Impossible," Captain Kethna said, but his voice sounded uncertain. Jake spoke again. "Captain, I'm going to do something that might seem crazy. I'm going to lower our defensive shields and allow your ship to land in our colony. You can see for yourself how we live. You can meet our people and judge with your own eyes whether we are the monsters the Krex claim we are. You would make yourself defenseless?" Captain Kethna asked in amazement. "Yes," Jake said simply. "Because I believe that when you see the truth, you'll understand that we're not your enemies." Carlos grabbed Jake's arm. "Jake, you can't do this. If you're wrong, they could destroy us all. And if I'm right," Jake replied, "we might just prevent a war." The Krex commander's voice crackled with anger. "Foolish humans, your tricks will not work. Prepare to die." The missiles streaked toward the colony, their warheads glowing with deadly energy. But suddenly, beams of light lanced out from the Velthian ship, intercepting the missiles and destroying them in brilliant explosions. "This is Captain Kethna," came the Velthian's voice. "I am protecting this colony until I can learn the truth. Any ship that attacks civilians will answer to me." "You dare defy the Krex Empire?" The commander roared. "I dare to seek the truth," Captain Kethna replied. "If these humans are truly monsters, then I will see the evidence myself. But I will not allow the murder of innocents based on rumors and fear." Jake smiled with relief and admiration. "Captain Kethna, you are welcome in our colony. Landing pad 7 is clear for your ship." 20 minutes later, Zaraka stood with Jake and the others as the Velthian ship touched down gently on the landing pad. The ship was beautiful, with flowing curves and a surface that seemed to shimmer like flower petals. A door opened and Captain Kethna emerged. He was taller than Zaraka, with darker blue scales and silver markings that showed his age and rank. His large eyes took in everything around him, studying the humans with careful attention. "Captain," Zaraka said, running to meet him. "I'm so glad you came." "Young scout," Captain Kethna said, embracing her gently. "You look healthy and well-fed. Are you truly unharmed?" "More than unharmed," Zaraka said. "I am better than I was before the crash. These humans have taught me so much, and I have taught them as well." Captain Kethna looked at Jake, who stepped forward with his hands visible and empty. "Captain, welcome to Haven's Edge. I know this is strange for you, but I hope you'll give us a chance to show you who we really are." "You're smaller than I expected," Captain Kethna said, studying Jake carefully. "The reports described humans as massive predators with terrible claws and fangs." Jake laughed, showing his normal human teeth. "I'm afraid we're much more boring than that. Would you like to see our colony?" "I think you'll find it's not what you were told to expect." For the next 2 hours, Captain Kethna toured the human settlement. He met families with children, visited the schools and hospitals, and saw the gardens where humans and Velthian knowledge had combined to create amazing results. In the greenhouse, Dr. Torres showed him the improvements that Zaraka's teachings had brought to their farming. "Your scout has been invaluable to us," she explained. "Her knowledge has helped us feed our people better than ever before." "And what have you given her in return?" Captain Kethna asked suspiciously. "Friendship," Dr. Torres said simply. "Knowledge, a place to belong. What more could we offer?" At the school, Captain Kethna watched human children playing games and learning lessons. Little Danny Kim ran up to him with the same curiosity he had shown Zaraka. "Are you from space too?" Danny asked excitedly. "Zaraka told us about your planet. It sounds really cool. You are not afraid of me?" Captain Kethna asked, kneeling down to Danny's level. "Why would I be afraid?" Danny asked. "You look different, but Mom says people are people inside, no matter what they look like outside." Captain Kethna stared at the child for a long moment, then looked at Jake. "Your young ones are taught to accept those who are different?" "We try to teach them that differences make us stronger, not weaker," Jake said. "When people work together, they can accomplish amazing things." As the sun began to set, Captain Kethna and his crew gathered in the colony's main square. Hundreds of humans came to meet them, bringing food and small gifts. There was no fear, no hostility, only curiosity and welcome. "I do not understand," Captain Kethna said to Jake as they watched the peaceful gathering. "Everything the Kreks told us about your species was wrong, but why would they lie?" "Because they wanted to keep our peoples apart," Zaraka said, joining the conversation. "If Velthians and humans became friends, we would be too strong for the Kreks to control." Captain Kethna's eyes widened as the truth hit him. "They have been using us, making us afraid so we would depend on them for protection. And now that you know the truth," Jake said, "what will you do?" Before Captain Kethna could answer, the Kreks commander's voice boomed across the colony from loudspeakers. "Enough of this foolishness. You have 5 minutes to surrender the spy, or we will destroy your colony and the trader ship." Captain Kethna stood up straight, his decision made. "Open a channel to the Kreks fleet," he ordered his communications officer. When the channel was open, Captain Kethna spoke with authority and strength. "Kreks Commander, this is Captain Kethna. I have seen the truth about humans, and I know now that you have been lying to my people. These humans are not monsters. They are potential allies and friends. You have been corrupted by human lies." The commander snarled. "No," Captain Kethna said firmly. "I have been freed from Kreks lies. I am taking this information back to my government. The Velthian people will know the truth about humans and about you. Then you will die with them," the commander declared. The Kreks ships opened fire, but they were not prepared for what happened next. Captain Kethna's ship had sent out a signal before landing, and now 3 more Velthian ships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons ready. "This is Fleet Commander Yaranel," came a new voice. "Any ship that attacks this colony will be destroyed." The battle was brief but decisive. The Velthian ships, fighting to protect innocent lives, drove off the Kreks fleet with determination and skill. The Kreks commander's ship limped away, damaged and defeated. In the aftermath, Jake and Captain Kethna stood together, watching the stars appear in the darkening sky. "What happens now?" Jake asked. "Now," Captain Kethna said,